The day before our wedding, my fiancée came back with a busted lip and told me the wedding was postponed for a year. She said it was to see the unattainable white moonlight of her heart. I laughed. Sure, I said. Never mind a year. You can postpone it for 10 years if you want. After all, the bride was never going to be you anyway. Tomorrow is the wedding of me, Chun Fan, and the eldest daughter of the Su family, Suya. But tonight my fiancée returned. She looked travel-worn, with lips that were slightly swollen, even a little broken. She stood in the entryway, not even bothering to change her shoes. Her face, usually known for its icy beauty, held a trace of fatigue and a hint of a sick, twisted satisfaction I had never seen before. Chun Fan, she began, her voice hoarse from a long journey. Let's postpone the wedding for a year. I was sitting on the living room sofa, holding a glass of my homemade plum wine. Hearing her words, I didn't even lift an eyelid. I finally saw Guyen. He's still so dazzling. Although he rejected me, I'm content just being with him on his birthday. I just used too much force when I kissed him, and he pushed me away, breaking my lip. It really hurts, but it was worth it. What can this loser Chun Fan do besides eat, drink, and play? If it weren't for the marriage alliance between our families, I wouldn't even give him a second glance. Once I help Guyen's company get through this crisis, he will definitely accept me. Then, I'll just kick this loser to the curb. Oh, so she went to see her white moonlight. A smirk played on my lips as I slowly savored a sip of wine. Sweet and sour, crisp and clear. This feeling was much more pleasant than listening to her hypocritical inner thoughts. That's right, I can hear people's thoughts. It's the golden finger that came with me when I transmigrated into this world. The book I transmigrated into is a typical overbearing CEO novel. The male lead is named Guyen, a self-made business prodigy. My fiancée, Suya, is the villainess of the book, madly obsessed with Guyen, willing to do anything for him, only to end up with her family ruined. And I, Chun Fan, am Suya's fiancé, a background character mentioned only a few times to highlight how much Suya despises arranged marriages, a good-for-nothing dandy who only knows how to spend money. When I first transmigrated, I considered struggling a bit, maybe changing the plot. But I soon discovered that my identity was practically tailor-made for lying flat. My family is fabulously wealthy, and I'm the sole heir. My parents are constantly traveling the world together, so no one bothers me. I have more money than I could spend in several lifetimes. As for power, the professional managers and trusted aides my family employs are fiercer than wolves. I just need to occasionally sign a document, and they manage my assets impeccably, even managing to swallow up a few rival companies that don't know their place. With a setup like this, why would I even bother striving? 8-pack abs, a V-line, and stunning looks. Every day, I work out a bit, sample the 8 great cuisines of China, study the art of winemaking, play with my cat, and walk my dog. Isn't that more comfortable than getting mixed up with that cast of main and supporting characters, staging life-and-death business battles every day? So I'm tired. I just want to lie flat. As for Suya, a woman living in her own fantasy. I don't even have the interest to say an extra word to her. If it weren't for the elders of our 2 families insisting on this marriage alliance, I would have kicked her out of my world long ago. But now, her own self-destructive behavior is saving me a lot of trouble. Seeing that I hadn't said anything for a while, Suya's brow furrowed, the disdain in her eyes undisguised. A loser is a loser. Has he forgotten how to speak? Perfect. If he dares to make a scene, I'll have even more reason to blow this up and let everyone know that I, Suya, will never accept such a loser. Didn't you hear me? I said the wedding is postponed. She stressed her words, as if ordering a subordinate. I finally lifted my head, slowly set down my wine glass, and looked at her. I heard. I smiled, revealing a set of white teeth. Postponed for a year, right? No problem. Suyague stand. How? How did he agree so readily? This shouldn't be happening. Doesn't he love me a lot? Before, he would cry and throw a fit if I wanted to delay it by just one day. Why is he like a different person today? Love her? That was the original owner of this body, not me, Chun Fan. I looked at her astonished expression, finding it a bit amusing, and added, never mind a year. You can postpone it for 10 or 20 years. That's fine too. Suya's face turned even uglier. She felt my compliance was an insult to her. This loser, what does he mean? Is he mocking me? What right does he have? Chun Fan, you'd better get a clear sense of your own status. She finally snapped, her voice turning shrill. You're nothing but a marriage partner chosen by my Sioux family. What can you do besides spend money? It's your honor that I'm willing to marry you. Now I'm giving you a chance. Don't be ungrateful. I stood up. At 1 meter 88, she had to look up at me. I walked towards her step by step, looking down on her. Forced back by my presence, she subconsciously took a step back, a trace of panic flashing in her eyes. What? What is he trying to do? Chun Fan is so strange today, his eyes are so scary. I reached out and gently pinched her chin, my gaze falling on her broken lip. Does it hurt? I asked softly. Suya's body stiffened, and her thoughts exploded in an instant. How does he know? How could he know? Did he have someone follow me? Impossible. That loser doesn't have the brains for it. Seeing her flustered look, the smile at the corner of my mouth deepened. Is it worth it? Making yourself such a mess for a man who doesn't love you? This sentence completely shattered Suya's psychological defenses. What nonsense are you talking about? Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, she violently slapped my hand away. Chun Fan, you dare to investigate me? You got some nerve. Investigate you? I sneered and shook my head. Suya, you think too highly of yourself. I don't have the slightest interest in your private life. I turned and walked back to the sofa, picked up my phone, and made a call right in front of her. Hello, Uncle Wong. A calm and respectful voice came from the other end of the line. Young master, what are your orders? The wedding held on the island tomorrow. I paused, glanced at the pale-faced Suya, and said slowly, the bride isn't coming. Cancel it. Suya's pupils shrank abruptly. What is he saying? Cancel the wedding? He dares. How dare he? Uncle Wong on the other end of the line was clearly taken aback for a moment, but immediately replied, Yes, young master. I'll take care of it right away. Do you need to announce a reason to the public? I glanced at the wall clock and said indifferently, No need. It's not like many people know about it anyway. Suya's wedding. It was just a smokescreen I had released from the beginning. The real wedding was a grand party I had prepared for myself to bid farewell to single life and embrace a life of ease. The location was on my private island, and the guests were all my good-for-nothing friends. What did it have to do with her, Suya? After hanging up the phone, I looked at Suya. She was staring at me as if I were a madman. Chun Fan, you're crazy. Do you know what canceling the wedding means? The cooperation between our two families, the face of our Chun family. Stop. I interrupted her. First, it's your Sioux family begging our Chun family for cooperation, not that our Chun family can't do without you. Second, the face of me, Chun Fan, is not for you to define. I stood up, took out a document from under the coffee table, and threw it in front of her. This is the agreement to dissolve the engagement. I've already signed it. From now on, you, Suya, and I, Chun Fan, have no relationship whatsoever. Suya's eyes were fixed on the agreement, her body trembling uncontrollably. Dissolve the engagement? On what grounds? How dare he? Doesn't he love me to death? He can't live without me. This must be fake. He's playing hard to get, trying to make me beg him. Chun Fan, stop playing these games. It's boring. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down and resuming her aloof, domineering CEO demeanor. I admit, it was wrong of me to see Guyen today, but it's too childish of you to force me this way. I'll give you one chance. Take this thing back, and I can pretend nothing happened. Tomorrow's wedding. Oh, right, I almost forgot. I interrupted her again, as if remembering something interesting. There's one more thing to inform you of. I picked up another document and waved it. Ms. Suya, given that during your tenure as the director of the investment department of Sky Capital, a company under my name, you repeatedly used your position and misappropriated company resources to provide convenience for Voyage Technology, a company belonging to Mr. Guyen, the white moonlight of your personal obsession, causing significant potential losses to our side. With every word I spoke, Suya's face grew paler. According to the labor contract and the company's articles of association, you are fired. This is the termination notice. Someone will come to handle your departure procedures tomorrow. I threw the termination letter in front of her as well. Now, you can get out of my house. Suya vas complete y estunez. Sky Capital is his? How is that possible? That's the mysterious capital that even Wall Street fears. Isn't the boss behind it some foreign old man in his late 50s? How could it be this loser, Chun Fan? He knew. He knew everything. How could he have known about the secret way I used the company's loopholes to channel benefits to Guyen? It's over. Looking at her face, twisted with shock and fear, a sense of satisfaction washed over me. Quietly watching the clown perform, anticipating their breakdown upon learning the truth. This is the correct way to enjoy a satisfying story. You. Suya pointed at me, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. Me what? I looked at her leisurely. Are you trying to ask why Sky Capital is mine? Or are you asking why I know about all your little schemes? I chuckled softly, walked to her side, leaned down, and whispered in her ear in a voice only the two of us could hear. Because I'm not useless. Also, your white moonlight Guyen, his startup technology, now owes Sky Capital $3 billion. If he can't pay it back within 3 days, he can wait for bankruptcy and liquidation. Tell me, if he knew this was all because of you, what do you think he would do to you? The last trace of color drained from Suya's eyes. As if all her strength had been sucked away, she collapsed onto the floor. Chapter 2. Suya was escorted out by security. Her devastated appearance was a world away from the arrogant, queen-like demeanor she had when I first saw her. I couldn't be bothered to give her another glance, and had Uncle Wong handle the aftermath directly. For instance, immediately freezing all her access and privileges at Sky Capital. For instance, sending the legal team to have a friendly collection chat with Startup Technology about that $3 billion debt. For instance, changing all the passwords to the locks at my villa. After all this was done, I felt like the entire world had become peaceful. I poured myself another glass of plum wine, settled comfortably into the sofa, and opened social media. I edited a new post. The wedding's off. Back to being single. Starting today, I'm activating Slacker Life 2. Zero mode. Anyone want to join? Below it, I attached a photo of my wine glass with the city's nightscape outside the floor-to-ceiling window as the background. After posting, I tossed my phone aside. It was predictable what kind of storm this post would stir up. The marriage alliance between the Chun and Su families was a major event in our entire social circle. For it to be suddenly called off the day before the wedding, and by me, the useless one, was enough to give those people something to gossip about for a good while. But what does it have to do with me? The more they thought I was crazy, stupid, or self-destructive, the happier I was. It would be best if everyone treated me as a joke and stayed far away, so I could truly live a slacker's life. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed and invigorated. I drew the curtains, and sunlight filled the entire room. A perfect day starts with not having to deal with a fiancé. My phone had already been blown up with calls. From my parents, from Suya's parents, and from a bunch of so-called friends. I didn't answer a single one. I sent a text directly to Uncle Wong. Handle all calls looking for me, as you see fit. I'm on vacation, do not disturb. Uncle Wong replied in seconds. Understood, young master. Enjoy your vacation. See, with such a capable confidant, living a slacker's life is such a simple thing. I changed into sportswear, went to the gym for a half-hour run, and did a few sets of strength training. Looking at the well-defined 8-pack abs and V-line in the mirror, I nodded in satisfaction. Before I transmigrated, I was just an ordinary corporate drone. 996 was a blessing. Where would I have found the time for this? Now that I have the means, naturally, I have to build up my physical fitness. After all, enjoying life also requires capital. A half-hour's worth of capital. After showering, I felt a little hungry. Previously, there was a chef in this villa, but they only made simple Western-style meals that I was sick of eating. Suya liked them, thinking they were stylish. But I didn't. I have a thoroughly Chinese stomach. The 8 great cuisines are my true love. Now that Suya was gone, the rules here naturally had to change. I picked up my phone and posted a job advertisement on a high-end talent recruitment app. Hiring a private chef. Requirements: proficient in the 8 great cuisines of China, with a preference for those who can brew alcohol, baijiu, yellow wine, rice wine, etc. Wine enthusiasts need not apply. Work location: private mountaintop villa. Compensation: monthly salary of $500,000, social insurance, and housing fund contributions, room and board included, 5-day work week with 2 days off, double pay on statutory holidays, year-end bonus to be determined. Job description: provide 3 meals a day plus a late-night snack for me. I am not a picky eater, but I have high standards for taste. I have a regular lifestyle and do not like to be disturbed. After posting the ad, I drove my sports car and left the villa that was filled with Suya's presents. I have a house in the suburbs that I like much more. It was a Chinese-style garden built halfway up the mountain, with pavilions, terraces, small bridges, and flowing water, far more comfortable than this cold, modern villa. Before, I lived here only for the convenience of Suya's work. Now I was free. The car sped along the mountain road. I put the top down, and the feeling of the wind on my face was the taste of freedom. An hour later, I returned to my secret base, Clear Wind Garden. The air here was much fresher than in the city center. My most loyal companion, a black Labrador named Cole Ball, rushed over, wagging his tail and rubbing against my legs. I ruffled his head, my mood soaring. Cole Ball, from now on, it'll be just the two of us living here. Are you happy? Woof. Uncle Wong had already arranged for people to clean the place until it was spotless. I changed into comfortable loungewear and lay on the rocking chair in the courtyard, watching the distant mountains and the clouds on the horizon. I felt like I had reached the pinnacle of life. My phone vibrated. It was a message from a job recruitment app. Hello, Mr. Chun. My name is Lin Qingzhu. I saw your job posting. I believe I meet all your requirements. Lin Qingzhu? The name sounded a bit familiar. I clicked on her profile picture. It was a photo of her without makeup. Her features were exquisitely delicate, her skin fair and translucent, and her eyes were as clear as a mountain stream. She was wearing a simple white t-shirt, her long hair casually draped over her shoulders, with a faint smile playing on her lips. A total goddess vibe, intelligent, gentle, and with an ethereal air, as if she were above worldly matters. I remembered Lin Qingzhu, the true female lead of this book. The angel who, in the original novel, healed the male lead Gu Yin after his heart was broken by the malicious supporting female character Suya, and ended up living happily ever after with him. Why would she be applying to be my chef? I opened her resume. Graduated from New Oriental. Le Cordon Bleu in France, but her major was in the improvement and innovation of Chinese cuisine. Previously served as a consultant for several 3 Michelin star restaurants. Specializes in the 8 great cuisines of China: Sichuan, Shandong, Cantonese, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Fujian, Hunan, and Anhui. Personal hobbies: brewing wine, especially skilled in ancient methods, tea ceremony, and traditional Chinese painting. This resume was practically tailor-made for me. This job posting is so strange. The requirements are so specific, and the pay is so good. Could it be a scam? But the address is Clear Wind Garden, and the security there is tight, so he probably isn't a bad person. Besides, my mom has been driving me crazy with blind dates recently, so it's a good excuse to find a place to hide. This boss seems like he might be an interesting person. Hearing her inner thoughts, I smiled. So, she was running away from trouble. Interesting. I replied to her. Come to Clear Wind Garden for an interview at 10 tomorrow morning. Bring a sample of your work. She quickly replied, Okay, Mr. Chun, do you have any flavor preferences? I thought for a moment and replied, Just make whatever you're best at. Putting down my phone, the smile on my face widened. The original female lead is coming to be my cook. If the male lead, Guyen, found out, would he cough up blood from anger? TSK. Just thinking about that scene feels so satisfying. Who cares about the plot? Right now, I just want to enjoy my lying flat life. And while I'm at it, taste the female lead's cooking. Chapter 3. The next morning at 9:50, I was sitting at the stone table in the courtyard, sipping the fine Longjing tea Uncle Wong had sent over, waiting for my new chef. Cole Ball was lying at my feet, yawning lazily. Before long, a white New Energy vehicle slowly pulled up to the courtyard gate. The door opened, and a woman in an elegant Chong Sam stepped out. It was Lin Qingzhu. She carried an exquisite food box in her hand. Her figure was graceful and her steps were light, as if she were a fairy who had walked out of a Jiangnan ink wash painting. The environment here is so nice, just like in the photos. Where's that boss? Is he testing me? I clear my throat. She followed the sound and looked over. When she saw me, A flash of surprise crossed her clear eyes. So handsome. Even better looking than his photo. His physique is amazing, too. You can even see the outline of his muscles through his simple training clothes. Wait, Lin Qingzhu, you're here for an interview. Not to ogle handsome man. I nearly choked on my tea. This girl's inner monologue is quite lively. I stood up and nodded to her. Miss Lin, hello. Mr. Chun, hello. She walked up to me, smiled faintly, and placed the food box on the stone table. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Not at all. You're right on time. Seat. Please have a seat. After she sat down, she opened the food box. An indescribable aroma instantly filled the air. The food box had 3 tiers. On the first tier was a dish called boiled water cabbage. The soup was clear as if it were plain water, with a few tender, green bok choy hearts floating within. On the second layer was a squirrel-shaped mandarin fish. The presentation was lifelike, the color a glistening gold, and the sweet and sour aroma tickled my nose. The third layer held a small dish of longjing shrimp, 3, 4, 5, and a single serving of Buddha jumps over the wall. 6, 7, 8. The sheer appearance and aroma of these dishes were enough to win me over. Mr. Chun, I figured you might not have had breakfast, so I prepared a few light and appetizing dishes for you to try. As she spoke, she took out a clean set of bowl and chopsticks. I nodded and picked up the chopsticks, first taking a piece of the bok choy. As I tasted it, the seemingly flavorless broth exploded with an ultimate freshness, lightly sweet, mellow, and with an endless aftertaste. The bok choy was tender but still held its shape, a perfect texture. Golden saying, true luxury is not the ostentation of gold and silver, but the ultimate purity that can still shake the soul after returning to simplicity. Good soup, I praised sincerely. Lin Qingzhu's eyes lit up, and a beautiful curve formed at the corners of her mouth. He gets it. He really gets it. The most difficult part of this dish is preparing the broth. I simmered this pot all night. It's such a joy to meet someone who can appreciate it. I then tried the squirrel-shaped mandarin fish. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with a perfect balance of sweet and sour. The control of heat was masterful. The longjing shrimp were springy and carried a faint fragrance of tea, incredibly refreshing. Finally, the Buddha jumps over the wall was a collection of treasures from the mountains and seas in one jar. The broth was rich and mellow, and the flavors of the various ingredients blended perfectly while still retaining their individual characteristics. By the end of the meal, I felt as though my taste buds had been completely awakened. Miss Lin, I said, putting down my chopsticks and looking at her, you're hired. Really? She asked, her head shooting up in pleasant surprise. Of course, I smiled, but I have my rules. Please go on. First, I don't like people entering my study or my bedroom. Second, I prefer quiet when I eat. Third, Machio is family, so you need to be good to him. I pointed to the dog, Machio, who had already wandered over to Lin Qingzhu's legs and was sniffing her. Lin Qingzhu looked down and couldn't help but smile at Machio's endearing appearance. She reached out to pat his head. He's so cute. Is his name Machio? Woof. Machio responded appreciatively, even licking her palm. This dog is so well-behaved, not afraid of strangers at all. His owner must have raised him well. It seems he likes you, I said. I like him too, Lin Qingzhu said with a smile. Then there are no problems. Uncle Wang will discuss the contract with you. You can start today. Your room is in the East Wing. It's already been prepared. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chun. And so, Lin Qingzhu moved in. Her arrival elevated the quality of my lying flat life by several levels. Every morning when I returned from my workout, an exquisite and delicious Chinese-style breakfast would be waiting on the table. For lunch and dinner, she would rotate through the 8 great cuisines of China. 9, 11, 12, she even put my long-neglected wine cellar to use and began to brew various kinds of fine wine. My days consisted of eating, working out, petting my cat, await my dog, reading and sunbathing. Occasionally, I'd handle the spam emails sent by Uncle Wang. For instance, young master, the Su family is requesting a meeting. Should I grant it? My reply, no. For example, young master, Gu Yin from Qihong Technology wants to discuss a debt extension. How should I respond? My reply, follow the rules. And this, young master, the hashtag Chinfin didn't wake up today hashtag is trending. Our company's stock price hit the limit up because of it. Should we do some PR? I had to laugh at this ridiculous trending topic. The netizens these days really have too much time on their hands. My reply, no need. It's quite amusing. And so, I lived a divine life in the mountains, while the outside world was in an uproar over my broken engagement and my lying flat lifestyle. Meanwhile, a subtle change was gradually taking place between Lin Qingzhu and me. She was a quiet girl, spending most of her time in the kitchen or her own room. But she was very observant. She would remember what I liked to eat and what I didn't. I once casually mentioned that I was craving spicy chicken, and the next day, a plate of authentic Chongqing spicy chicken appeared on the table. 13, 14, 15, when I said I was feeling a bit of internal heat, she would brew a cooling and detoxifying soup. We didn't talk much, but a certain rapport was building drop by drop. One afternoon, I was in the gym doing a bench press. Sweat dripped from my forehead, soaking my hair. I could feel my muscles burning, a feeling of power that fascinated me. Lin Qingzhu walked in carrying a platter of sliced fruit. She saw me bare-chested, sweat trickling down my bronze skin. My 8-pack abs and V-line were clearly visible under the light, and her face instantly flushed red. Oh my God, his body is too amazing. He's practically a walking hormone, 100 times better than those trainers at the gym. No, Lin Qingzhu, you have to be reserved. She stood awkwardly at the door, her gaze flickering, not daring to look at me. I put down the barbell, sat up, and picked up a towel to wipe off the sweat. Do you need something? I asked deliberately. No, nothing, she stammered. I brought you some fruit. She placed a fruit platter on the nearby table and turned to run. Wait, I called out to her. She stopped, her body stiff, not daring to turn back. I walked up behind her. A faint, fresh fragrance wafted from her. It was her scent, very pleasant. I leaned in close, lowered my voice, and whispered in her ear, "Want a touch?" Her body shuddered violently, and her ears turned pink at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? What is he saying? Is he hitting on me? Oh God, my heart is beating so fast. What do I do? What do I do? How should I answer? If I say yes, would that be too forward? But if I say no, I'd be lying to myself. Watching the war raging in her heart, the curve of my lips grew wider. I took her hand and pressed it against my abs. Check the results. Her hand was soft and slightly cool. Covering my scorching skin, it sent a shiver through me. She froze completely, like a wooden doll that had been immobilized. I could clearly hear her heart pounding like a drum. I'm touching them. So hard. It feels so good. Is this an 8-pack? Mom, I've made it. I'm going to faint. Seeing her on the verge of passing out from bliss, I couldn't help but let out a low laugh. Then, while she was still in a daze, I leaned over and gently placed a kiss on her fingertips. Do they pass? That kiss, like a spark, instantly ignited Lin Qingzhu. She snatched her hand back as if electrocuted, her face as red as a ripe apple. Head down, she turned and fled. Watching her retreating figure as she escaped in a panic, I was in a great mood. Teasing her was truly a fun thing to do. From that day on, the atmosphere between us became even more ambiguous. Her gaze, when she looked at me, always carried a hint of shyness and avoidance. But her concern for me only grew. She would make me energizing tea, prepare post-workout nutritional meals, and even quietly cover me with a blanket after I'd fallen asleep. She thought I didn't know about these small actions. But her inner voice had already sold her out completely. It's windy today. He must have kicked off his blanket again while sleeping. I should go check so he doesn't catch a cold. He stayed up so late reading. I'll make him some walnut porridge tomorrow morning to nourish his brain. His white shirt looks so good, paired with his body. It's an absolute killer. No, why am I thinking about this stuff again? I enjoyed her care, and I also enjoyed those cute and genuine inner thoughts of hers. Being with her was very relaxing, very comfortable. One day, the city held its annual food festival. Lin Qingzhu, as a special guest judge, was required to attend. She was reluctant to go because such occasions were crowded and complicated. I have to be a judge again, so annoying. A bunch of people will surround me for sure, and those suitors who are like flies. Maybe I should just pretend to be sick. Hearing her inner thoughts, I considered it for a moment and said, I'll go with you. She looked up in surprise. Huh, Mr. Chun, you're going too? What, am I not welcome? I raised an eyebrow. No, of course not. She waved her hands hastily, her cheeks slightly pink. It's just, that kind of place is very noisy. I was afraid you wouldn't like it. He's going with me? Oh my God. Does this mean he wants to appear in public with me? Does this mean I'm a little different in his heart? A change of scenery now and then isn't bad, I said flatly. And so, we went to the food festival together. I was still in my usual casual attire, as low-key as could be. Lin Qingzhu, however, wore an ink-wash-style long dress today, her long hair tied up, exuding an outstanding aura. The moment she appeared, she became the center of attention. Qingzhu, you're finally here. A man in a suit with slicked back, greasy hair immediately came forward, holding a large bouquet of roses. Qingzhu, these are blue enchantress roses I had specially flown in from the Netherlands for you. Lin Qingzhu's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly. It's Zhang Wei again, he really haunts me. Flowers every time, isn't it tacky? And blue enchantress roses, my God, this aesthetic is really something else. She smiled politely but distantly. Mr. Zhang, thank you for your kind gesture, but I'm allergic to pollen. I appreciate the thought. Zhang Wei's expression stiffened, but he quickly recovered his smile. No problem. It was my oversight. Qingzhu, and this is... His gaze fell on me, carrying a trace of scrutiny and hostility. This is my friend, Mr. Chun, Lin Qingzhu introduced. Friend? Zhang Wei looked me up and down, the contempt in his eyes undisguised. Today I was wearing an ordinary cotton linen t-shirt, a pair of loose pants, and a pair of cloth shoes on my feet. My entire outfit cost no more than 500 yuan. And him, decked out in designer brands, a Patek Philippe on his wrist, the very picture of a successful man. Just a pretty boy, dressed so shabbily. How could Qingzhu be friends with him? He must be after Qingzhu's family fortune, a pauper trying to latch onto a wealthy family. Hearing his inner thoughts, I almost laughed out loud. What era is this? People still judge a person's worth by their clothes? Lin Qingzhu had clearly sensed Zhang Wei's rudeness as well, and her expression darkened. Mr. Zhang, if there's nothing else, we need to get to the judges' panel. Hey, don't be in such a hurry, Qingzhu. Zhang Wei blocked her, deliberately raising his voice so the people around could hear. I heard you recently quit all your restaurant consultant jobs to become a private chef for some mysterious tycoon? Qingzhu, why are you putting yourself through this? If you're short on money, you could have just told me. You can take your pick of any of my restaurants. The position of chief consultant will always be open for you. His words, on the surface, were of concern, but underneath they were demeaning Lin Qingzhu, implying she had lowered herself to serve someone. The people around began to whisper. Lin Qingzhu's face turned a little pale, and she clenched her fists. This Zhang Wei is too much. How dare he say that about me? What job I like to do is my own freedom. I patted the back of her hand, signaling her to be at ease. Then I took a step forward, standing in front of her, and looked directly at Zhang Wei. You must be Mr. Zhang, correct? I asked with a smile. Yes, my name is Zhang Wei, the general manager of Shirwei Xian. Zhang Wei puffed out his chest, announcing his title. Shirwei Xian was one of the city's most high-end restaurant chains. Oh, Shirwei Xian. I nodded, took out my phone, and dialed Uncle Wang's number. Hello, Uncle Wang. Young master, what are your instructions? Do you know of Shirwei Xian? I do, young master. It's a high-end restaurant chain group that's recently been seeking Series C financing, and they wanted our Tianqiong Capital to be the lead investor. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. They're still looking for funding from us? Yes, young master. I've reviewed their documents. Their business model is outdated, their debt ratio is high, and their internal management is chaotic. I was already planning to reject them outright. Very good. I nodded in satisfaction. Now, I've changed my mind. On the other end, Zhang Wei's face had already changed upon hearing the words Tianqiong Capital. Although he didn't know who I was, the name Tianqiong Capital was legendary in the business world. What is your relationship with Tianqiong Capital? He asked, stammering a little. I ignored him and continued speaking into the phone. Uncle Wang, send out a notice. Tianqiong Capital and all its subsidiary companies will fully acquire Shirwei Xian's competitors. And within 1 month, I want the name Wei Xian to disappear from the map. I said it calmly, as if I were just discussing what to have for dinner. But the content of my words made the blood drain from Zhang Wei's face instantly. What? What nonsense is he spouting? Acquire the competitors? Make Wei Xian disappear? Who does he think he is? The boss of Tianqiong Capital? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Who the hell are you? How dare you make such wild boasts here? Zhang Wei roared, his bravado barely hiding his fear. I hung up the phone, looked at him and smiled. You're not worthy of knowing who I am. All you need to know is that, from this moment on, you're unemployed. With that, I took Lin Qingzhu's hand and turned to leave. Let's go. It's too noisy here. Lin Qingzhu was still in shock, letting me pull her through the crowd. Her palm was drenched in sweat. Oh my God, he was so commanding just now. Make Wei Xian disappear from the map. That line was so cool. Who on earth is he? Why would someone from Tianqiong Capital call him young master? Was he standing up for me? He must have been. For my sake, he's going to ruin an entire restaurant group with just a single sentence. My heart was pounding so fast. I could feel the look in her eyes change from the previous appreciation and shyness to worship and infatuation. Well, the hero saving the damsel in distress plot, although cliché, is always effective, especially in the face of a crushing difference in strength. At this moment, I was not a slacker lying flat. I was her guardian deity, willing to temporarily stand up and dust myself off for her. After leaving the food festival, I drove Lin Qingzhu straight back to Qingfeng Garden. Along the way, she was unusually quiet, but those clear eyes of hers would always glance at me, intentionally or unintentionally, filled with curiosity and inquiry. Her inner voice, like a floodgate had been opened, never stopped for a moment. Who on earth is he? The young master of Sky Capital? Isn't that the legendary Chun family, as rich as a nation? But everyone in the circle says that the Chun family's only son, Chun Fan, is a good-for-nothing who only knows how to eat, drink, and be merry. Could the rumors be false? Has he been playing the fool all along? When he held my hand just now, his palm was so warm, it felt so secure. For my sake, he so lightly decided the life and death of a corporation. Am I very special to him? As I drove, I listened to her inner monologue. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but curve upwards. The little lady has fallen for me. Back at Qingfeng Garden, she followed behind me step by step, like a little wife who had done something wrong. Mr. Chun. She finally mustered the courage to speak. Today. Thank you. Thank me for what? I asked, feigning ignorance. Thank you for helping me out of that situation. She lowered her head, her voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. I wasn't helping you out, I said faintly. She suddenly lifted her head, a trace of disappointment flashing in her eyes. Not for me. Then why did he do it? Seeing her look like she was about to cry, I found it amusing and continued. You are my person. When my person is bullied, of course I have to get even. That's not called helping out. That's called being protective. I deliberately emphasized the words, my person. Lin Qingzhu's face flushed red again in an instant. The feeling of disappointment was swept away, replaced by a heart full of joy and sweetness. My person. He said I'm his person. He admitted it. He has me in his heart. Calm down, Lin Qingzhu, you need to calm down. Be reserved. Don't let him see how happy you are. She tried hard to keep a straight face, wanting to feign a calm demeanor, but the upturned corners of her mouth and her sparkling eyes had already betrayed her. I wanted to laugh, but I held it in. Go cook. I'm hungry, I said, pretending to be nonchalant. Oh, okay. I'll go right away. Like a little rabbit that had received an order, she scampered into the kitchen. Watching her cheerful back, I shook my head. This girl is too easy to read, and too cute. That night, Lin Qingzhu made a huge spread of dishes, all of my favorites. During the meal, contrary to her usual behavior, she didn't stay quietly in the kitchen but sat across from me, constantly putting food on my plate. Mr. Chun, try this. I braised this dompa pork for 4 hours. Mr. Chun, this Westlake vinegar fish is very appetizing too. Mr. Chun, eat more, eat more. If I fatten you up, you'll be mine. No, if you fatten me up. Oh, it's all the same. Hearing her chaotic inner thoughts, I almost spat out my food. What kind of bold and wild words were these? After dinner, she brought over a pot of peach blossom wine she had recently brewed. Mr. Chun, I brewed this a few days ago. Would you like to try it? She looked at me with eyes full of anticipation. I took the cup, and a sweet fragrance of peach blossoms wafted to my nose. I took a sip. The wine was mellow and smooth, with a long aftertaste and the fragrance of peach blossoms. It was indeed a good wine. Not bad, I nodded. Her eyes immediately curved into crescents as she smiled. She poured a cup for herself and downed it in one go. And then she just slumped onto the table and didn't move. Me? Knocked out by one cup? So dizzy. Why is the kick of this wine so strong? Mr. Chen's face seems to be swaying. I walked over and patted her face. Lin Qingzhu, wake up. She opened her eyes in a daze, looked at me, and giggled foolishly. Then she suddenly wrapped her arms around my neck. Mr. Chun, you're so handsome, she murmured, her warm breath tickling my neck. My body stiffened. This girl, so bold when she's drunk, is Adam's apple. Looks so kissable. The next second, she really leaned in, and her soft lips accurately landed a kiss on my Adam's apple. Boom! I felt all the blood in my body rush to my head. This little temptress. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. She was still an innocent little girl, and she was drunk. I couldn't take advantage of her. I tried to pull her away, but she held on tight, like an octopus. Don't move. She nuzzled against my chest, found a comfortable position, and mumbled, "You smell so good." Me? How could I smell good? I had just finished working out. I was covered in sweat. I sighed helplessly, having no choice but to bend over and lift her with one arm. She was very light, weighing almost nothing in my arms. I carried her back to her room, placed her on the bed, took off her shoes for her, and tucked her in. Looking at her peaceful, sleeping face, her long eyelashes were like two small fans, and her slightly pouting lips were especially rosy from the alcohol. My heart stirred, and I couldn't help but lean down and gently place a kiss on her forehead. Good night, my girl. As I turned and left the room, I didn't notice the girl on the bed, a triumphant smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Chapter 6. The next day, Lin Qingzhu had dark circles under her eyes and acted like a guilty thief, not daring to look me in the eye all day. Her inner thoughts were even more spectacular. Oh God, what did I do last night? I actually kissed him, and I said he smelled good. I'm too embarrassed to face anyone. Will he think I'm a promiscuous girl? Will he hate me? But his Adam's apple is so sexy, and his abs. Tui, Lin Qingzhu, what are you thinking? I pretended to know nothing, continuing to eat, drink, and work out as usual. Only occasionally would I cast a meaningful glance her way, making her blush and fluster, completely at a loss. Life went on, day by day, in this sweet and ambiguous atmosphere. Meanwhile, the world down the mountain was thrown into complete chaos because of me. First was Shaweixuan. The day after I gave the order, Tianqiong Capital announced it would invest $10 billion to support several of Shaweixuan's main competitors. At the same time, all sorts of negative stories about Shaweixuan, unhygienic kitchens, use of gutter oil, and financial fraud spread across the entire internet overnight. The stock price plummeted, customers canceled their reservations, and suppliers showed up demanding payment. The once arrogant restaurant giant was fragile and easily shattered under the iron heel of capital. Zhang Wei called me countless times, but Uncle Wang intercepted them all. He probably will never understand, even on his deathbed, which powerful figure he actually offended. Second, the Su family. Having lost the marriage alliance with the Chun family and with Tianqiong Capital, a major client, terminating all cooperation, the Su family's business plummeted. Suya's father, Su Zhendong, tried to visit Qingfeng Villa several times to ask for a meeting, but I refused to see him every time. Finally, there was Gu Yin and his Qihong technology. The $3 billion debt was like a great mountain, crushing him to the point where he could barely breathe. He looked for investors everywhere, but no one dared to take it on, because word had already spread within the industry that Qihong technology had offended Tianqiong Capital. Who would dare to go against Tianqiong Capital? One day, I was lying on a rocking chair, watching the financial news. On the news, a financial tycoon in a suit and tie was being interviewed. The reporter asked. Mr. Lee, there are rumors circulating in the industry recently that the mysterious boss of Tianxiong Capital is actually the Chun family's young master, Chun Fan. Is this true? This Mr. Lee was an old friend of my father's and a leading figure in the domestic financial world. He smiled at the camera and said, regarding young Master Chun, it's not convenient for me to say much. I can only tell you all that young Master Chun is the most intelligent young man I have ever met. His talent for business is far beyond your imagination. As for the outside rumors that he is a profligate son, that is pure nonsense. Truly great figures never need to prove anything to the outside world. Golden quote, when you are powerful enough, your every breath will be interpreted as a strategy. This Mr. Lee was truly a shrewd man. His words were flawless. He neither directly admitted it, but he praised me to the skies and, in the process, helped solidify my persona of a wolf in sheep's clothing. As soon as this news broke, the entire internet exploded. Hashtag Chun Fan Top Tier Tycoon hashtag. Hashtag Sui regretting it to her core hashtag. Hashtag Huiyin Steel Plate hashtag. All sorts of topics emerged one after another. And that previous hashtag Chun Fan Still Isn't Woken Up Today hashtag was given a new twist by netizens. At Tianxiong Capital V, our boss hasn't woken up yet today, so we're adding another $5 billion to the plan to acquire Shuaixuan's competitors. At Huanyu Group V, our boss hasn't woken up yet today either, so for the new development zone project, all partners will be replaced with Mr. Chen's friends. At Galaxy Entertainment V, our boss didn't get out of bed today either, so all artists under our label are forbidden from accepting any advertisement from Star Sale Technology. All of a sudden, the official accounts of the companies under my name all started using this "the boss didn't get out of bed" meme to announce business decisions. My lying flat became the most impressive form of humble bragging. My company's stock prices also soared because of this meme. I couldn't help but laugh out loud as I looked at these silly and amusing news items on my phone. This group of subordinates was really getting more and more creative. Mr. Chen, what's so funny? Lin Qingzhu walked over, holding a bowl of iced mung bean soup. It's nothing, just reading a few jokes. I put away my phone. She handed the mung bean soup to me and sat down on the stone bench next to me. Today, she wore a white dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders. In the sunlight, she was as beautiful as an elf. Mr. Chun, she hesitated. Just ask whatever you want to ask. I took a sip of the mung bean soup. It was sweet and very refreshing. Is all that stuff on the internet real? She asked in a low voice. Are you really the boss of Celestial Capital? Yes. I didn't deny it. She gasped, her eyes filled with shock as she looked at me. Oh my God, it's really him. I've been cooking for the big boss of $100 billion corporation. So, everything he did before wasn't a joke. He really has the power to make a corporation disappear. But why would he tell me all this? Why isn't he hiding it from me? Why am I telling you? As if I could read her mind, I said faintly, because you are my person. I never hide things from my own people. My person again. Lin Qingzhu's heart skipped a beat. She looked at me, her eyes glistening, filled with emotion and affection. Then, Mi Suya, Shi. Her, I scoffed. Just a self-righteous, foolish woman. Not worth mentioning. What about Gu Yin? An opportunist who relies on women to get ahead. Even less worth mentioning. I looked at her, my gaze becoming serious. Lin Qingzhu, those people and things from the past have nothing to do with me anymore. Now, in my life, there is only you. This sentence exploded in her heart like a clap of thunder. She could no longer control her feelings and threw herself into my arms. Mr. Chun. She hugged me tightly, her voice choked with sobs. I like you. My body stiffened for a moment, then relaxed. I reached out and gently wrapped my arms around her waist. I know. I whispered in her ear. I said it. I confessed. He's hugging me. He said he knows. Does he like me too? Feeling the soft, warm body in my arms and hearing her excited inner voice, I lowered my head and kissed her lips. This time, it wasn't a light peck. It was a deep, passionate, long kiss that declared my possession. After a long time, our lips parted. She lay panting in my arms, her face so red it looked like blood might drip from it. I stroked her long hair and said softly, "From now on, don't call me Mr. Chun." "Then, what should I call you?" "Call me Ah Fan." "Ah, Ah Fan," she called out shyly. "Good girl." I smiled and planted another kiss on her smooth forehead. The breeze in the courtyard was gentle. The sunlight was warm. The person in my arms was fragrant. This damn sweet romance. It seemed that a life of lying flat wasn't just about eating, sleeping, and killing time anymore. After confirming my relationship with Lin Qingzhu, my lying flat life officially entered super sweet mode. We gave each other exclusive nicknames. I called her Ching Ching, and she called me Ah Fan. Every morning, it was no longer just me working out alone. She would wear tight-fitting yoga clothes and practice yoga next to me. That soft body, those graceful curves often made my mouth go dry, and I nearly drop a barbell on my own foot. A fan has such a great body. Those abs, that villain. I really want to touch them. No, I have to be reserved. Whenever this happened, I would walk over, hug her from behind under the pretext of helping you correct your posture, and then openly take advantage of her. Our pets, a black cat named Coldball and a ragdoll cat she brought named Tang Yuan, also became good friends. Oh no, they became a loving couple. They were stuck together every day, even more dramatic than we were. We often fed each other. When I was eating, she would pick out all the fish bones and feed the fish to me. When I drank soup, she would blow on it to cool it down before handing it to me. And I, while she was cooking, would wrap my arms around her waist from behind, rest my chin on her shoulder, and place light kisses on the side of her neck. "Don't," she would blush and push me away every time. "The food is going to burn." "Let it burn. You're more delicious than the food." Then a scene of domineering boss and his pretty chef would play out in the kitchen until black smoke billowed from a pot, and we would scramble to put out the fire. Life was filled with pink bubbles. So much so that when Uncle Wong called to report on work, he couldn't help but complain. "Young master, have you been dating recently? How did you know? You haven't scolded me for half a month, and I keep hearing a girl's laughter in the background on your end." "Yes, I am." I admitted it freely. "Congratulations, young master. My sincerest congratulations." Uncle Wong sounded even more excited than I was. "Which family's daughter is she? Do I need to prepare a betrothal gift?" "No ruse." I looked at Lin Qingzhu, who was watering the flowers in the yard, my gaze gentle. "We'll talk about it when she wants to get married." I didn't want to bind her with things like family or marriage contracts. I hoped she would marry me because of love, not for any other reason. However, our sweet life was soon shattered by an uninvited guest. That afternoon, I was playing chess with Lin Qingzhu in the yard. The security guard at the bottom of the hill suddenly called, saying that Suya had arrived, asking to see me by name. Lin Qingzhu's expression changed slightly. I held her hand, signaling her to be at ease. "Let her come up," I told the guard. Before long, Suya appeared at the courtyard gate. She looked much more haggard, having lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under her eyes, completely devoid of her former Ice Queen CEO aura. When she saw me sitting with Lin Qingzhu, holding hands intimately, her eyes instantly turned venomous. "Chun Fan, you really did get together with this vixen," she shrieked. Lin Qingzhu's brows furrowed. I stood up, shielding Lin Qingzhu behind me, and looked at Suya coldly. "Miss Su, please watch your words." "Vixen?" She actually called Ching Ching a vixen? This crazy woman, what right does she have? Suya's inner thoughts were filled with jealousy and resentment. "Watch my words? Chun Fan, you hypocrite. You obviously want to break off the engagement with me long ago, so you could be with this slut, yet you pretended to be the victim. You've brought such misery upon me and our Su family. What were your intentions?" "I brought you misery." I laughed in anger. "Suya, is there something wrong with your head? You were the one who cheated before the marriage, and you were the one who used my company to channel benefits to your white moonlight. Now you have the nerve to blame me." Suya was choked speechless. "As for your Su family," I sneered, "the marketplace is a battlefield. If you're not skilled enough, you should admit defeat. The state of your Su family today is due to your father's poor management, his own doing. What does it have to do with me?" "You're lying." Suya screamed hysterically. "If you hadn't withdrawn your investment, if you hadn't had Tianxiong Capital blacklist us, how would our family have ended up like this?" As she spoke, she suddenly dropped to her knees with a thud. Chen Fan, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me, okay? Let's go back to how things were. Let's still get married, okay? She cried a river of tears, looking pitiful and lovely. If it were the original owner of this body, he probably would have softened at the sight of her. Unfortunately, I am not him. As long as he softens up, as long as he's willing to get back with me, our Su family can be saved. Who cares about Guyen? This Chun Fan is the real golden goose. I was so blind before. Hearing her inner thoughts, I only felt disgusted. Suya, cut the act. I looked down at her. I'm not a recycling bin. I have no interest in used goods like you that someone else has played with. My words were like a knife, stabbing viciously into her heart. Her face instantly turned deathly pale. What did you say? I said. I enunciated each word. Get out of my sight. Chun Fan. As if triggered, she shot up from the ground, pulled a fruit knife from her bag, and rushed toward me. I'll kill you, you heartless man. A Fan, be careful. Lin Qingzhu cried out, and without a second thought, she spread her arms to shield me. My pupils contracted. In a flash, I pulled Lin Qingzhu behind me, and, at the same time, I turned sideways and kicked out, accurately hitting Suya's wrist. With a clang, the fruit knife fell to the ground. Suya also fell to the ground, due to inertia. It all happened within a few seconds. Looking at Lin Qingzhu in my arms, her face pale with fright, my heart was still pounding wildly. In that split second, I was truly scared. Scared that she would be harmed in the slightest. It's okay now, don't be afraid. I held her tightly, comforting her in a low voice. In my arms, her body was still trembling slightly. Are you hurt? She looked up, anxiously checking my body. I'm fine. I shook my head, then looked at Suya on the ground, my eyes as cold as ice. Uncle Wong, I took out my phone and made a call. Send someone to Qingfeng Manor. Take a crazy woman named Suya to the police station and charge her with assault with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. Also, notify everyone to initiate a full acquisition of the Su Group. I want it bankrupt and liquidated within 3 days. I don't want to hear any more news about this woman. After speaking, I hung up the phone, swept Lin Qingzhu up into my arms, and walked into the house without looking back. Behind me came Suya's desperate cries and curses. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. I only knew that from now on, if anyone dared to touch a single hair on my people, I would have them crushed to pieces, doomed for eternity. Suya was taken away by the police. The Su Group, within 3 days, just as I had said, declared bankruptcy. Su Zhendong's hair turned white overnight. Unable to take the blow, he suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. The once glorious Su family became a thing of the past. And the architect of all this, me, was leisurely lying by the pool at Qingfeng Manor, enjoying being fed by Lin Qingzhu. Ah, she speared a piece of chilled watermelon with a silver fork and brought it to my lips. I opened my mouth to bite it, incidentally taking her fingertip into my mouth as well. She blushed, shot me a reproachful glare, and tried to pull her hand back, but I caught it. I brought her hand to my lips and kissed it. Qing, you are so sweet. Smooth talker, she muttered under her breath, but couldn't hide the smile in her eyes. The incident that day had given her quite a scare, but it also made the bond between us stronger. We were both willing to protect each other without a second thought when danger loomed. This kind of unconditional trust and love was more precious than any sweet words. A Fan, she leaned on my shoulder and asked softly, Suya, what will happen to her? I don't know, I said flatly. She'll probably spend a few years in prison. What about Guyen? I heard. Qihang Technology is also on the verge of collapse. I grunted in agreement. Owing Qinxiang Capital so much money that they can't pay back, bankruptcy is the only outcome. So, we let him go. I turned my head to look at her, raising an eyebrow. What? You feel sorry for him? He's the male lead in the original novel. Lin Qingzhu froze for a moment, then realized what I was talking about. She knew I wasn't from this world, and also knew that this world was originally a book. I had confessed all of this to her long ago. She burst out laughing, reached out, and poked my chest. Are you jealous? Not the kind of jealousy that sparks a fight, but the kind where you want to see the female lead act a little sour but reluctant to say it, eventually turning into cute, clingy behavior, perfectly meeting reader expectations. I grabbed her mischievous hand and snorted. What do you think? Oh, come on. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. I could feel sorry for anyone but not him. In my heart, you were the only male lead. This direct attack is too deadly. I felt my language system instantly short-circuit. All my usual flirtatious lines vanished, leaving only the most primitive, clumsy reaction. I pulled her in my arms and kissed her fiercely. When the kiss ended, she was lying on my chest, saying softly, "Hey, Fan, I want to go home for a visit." Homesick? No. She shook her head, my mom. She's arranging blind dates for me again. I want to go back and make it clear to them that She didn't finish her sentence, but I already understood her meaning. She wanted to take me home to meet her parents. This was a public social announcement. My heart leaped with joy, but I kept a straight face. Okay, I'll go back with you. Really? She looked up in pleasant surprise. Of course. I pinched her nose. The ugly daughter-in-law has to meet the in-laws eventually, right? You're the ugly daughter-in-law. She hit me playfully in protest. I laughed heartily and held her even tighter. Lin Qingzhu's home was in the capital, a truly top-tier, wealthy family. Compared to the Lin family, my so-called Chun family could only be considered newly rich. Lin Qingzhu's grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the nation. Her father held a high-ranking position. Her mother was a tenured professor at a top domestic university, with students all over the country. A family like this naturally had extremely high standards for a son-in-law. When Lin Qingzhu told her mother on the phone that she was bringing her boyfriend home, her mother's reaction was placid. Oh, bring him over for a look then. Just in time, I've arranged for you to meet Annie Wang's son. You two can see each other. Lin Qingzhu was furious, but I smiled. It seemed this meeting with the parents was going to be a tough battle. However, I like a challenge. We took my private jet straight to the capital. On the plane, Lin Qingzhu was very nervous. After my mom, she could be a bit difficult. Don't take what she says to heart. Don't worry. I patted her hand reassuringly. I'm a professional at handling mothers-in-law. The plane landed at the capital's airport. Picking us up was the Lin family chauffeur, a red flag sedan with a special license plate, low-key and solemn. The car drove into a heavily guarded compound. This was the Lin family home. Lin Qingzhu's mother, Professor Li Weining, was waiting for us in the living room. She looked to be around 50, dressed in a tasteful suit and wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. Her aura was elegant, but her eyes were sharp. When she saw me, she simply gave a faint nod, showing little enthusiasm. So this is the boyfriend Qingzhu chose? He looks decent enough, but who knows how much substance he has. A businessman reeking of money is not worthy of my daughter. Hearing her inner thoughts, I walked forward, my expression unchanged, and gave a slight bow. Auntie, hello. My name is Chun Fan. I'm Qingqing's boyfriend. Sit. Li Weining pointed to the sofa opposite her. Lin Qingzhu and I sat down. The atmosphere was a bit heavy. I hear you're in business? Li Weining spoke first. Yes, Auntie. I have a few small companies to my name. I answered humbly. Small companies? Li Weining pushed up her glasses, the corner of her mouth curving into a sarcastic arc. Skydome Capital, Universe Group, Star River Entertainment. In your eyes, these are all just small companies? Lin Qingzhu looked at her mother in surprise. I was also a little taken aback. It seemed this mother-in-law had already done a thorough background check on me. You think you can get away with pretending to be modest? My students are all over the world. Digging up this much on you was a piece of cake. Auntie is well informed. I smiled, not denying it. Don't call me Auntie. Li Weining's tone remained cold. I haven't acknowledged you yet. She paused, then continued. Chun Fan, I know you're very rich and very resourceful. I've also heard about what happened to the Su family in Guyan. But we, the Lin family, don't care about these things. What we value is character, knowledge, and responsibility. My daughter, Qingzhu, has been well protected by us since she was a child. She's simple-minded. I don't know what sweet nothings you used to trick her, but let me tell you, it's not that easy to marry into our Lin family. Just then, a gentle male voice came from the doorway. Weining, we have a guest. Why aren't you being a proper host? A middle-aged man with a distinguished air, wearing a Zhongshan suit, walked in. It was Lin Qingzhu's father, Lin Jiangwo. He saw me, froze for a moment, and then his expression turned to one of surprise. You are. Brother Chen's son, little fan. Chapter 9. Lin Jiangwo's words instantly reversed the atmosphere in the living room. Li Weining was stunned. Lin Qingzhu was also stunned. My dad knows Affan and calls him little fan? What is going on? I stood up and smiled at Lin Jiangwo. Uncle Lin, long time no see. It really is you. Lin Jiangwo strode over and clapped me enthusiastically on the shoulder. You rascal. Why didn't you let your Uncle Lin know you were back in the country? If your dad hadn't called me a few days ago, I still wouldn't have known you were back. I've been busy lately, I said vaguely. Busy with dating, I bet. Lin Jiangwo laughed heartily, glancing at Lin Qingzhu beside me, then back at me, a look of sudden realization on his face. Well, you little rascal, you work fast. You actually managed to steal my precious daughter away. Lin Qingzhu's face instantly turned bright red. Dad, she exclaimed, embarrassed. Li Weining frowned, looking at us, the stream of comments in her mind going wild. How does old Lin know him? And he calls him little fan? Who is this brother Chun? Could it be Uncle Chun? That's impossible. Wasn't Uncle Chen's son recuperating from an illness abroad all this time? Old Lin, what on earth is going on? Li Weining couldn't help but ask. Weining, let me introduce you. Lin Jiangwo pulled me over, speaking to his wife with a proud expression. This is the son of my sworn brother, the one I'm always telling you about, Chun Qingquan. His son, Chun Fan. What? Li Weining was utterly shocked. Her hands so unsteady, she almost dropped her teacup. Chun Qingquan. This name, in their circle, was a legend. Starting from scratch, he built a vast business empire, his wealth rivaling that of a nation. More importantly, he was a low-key and charitable man. When the country was in need, he stepped forward many times, donating money, goods, and even core technologies. He was a patriotic entrepreneur, highly respected even by the top brass. However, he acted mysteriously and never appeared in the public eye. The outside world only knew that he had a frail and sickly son who was always recuperating abroad. Unexpectedly, this legendary son was the young man standing before them, and he had become their son-in-law-to-be. Li Weining looked at me, her expression incredibly complex. So he's Uncle Chen's son. No wonder. No wonder he has such means and financial resources. And just now I called him a merchant reeking of money. How utterly embarrassing. But with such a prominent family background, why did he hide it from Qingzhu all this time? Why pretend to be an ordinary person? Uncle, I spoke up at the right moment, explaining I didn't reveal my identity before because I didn't want to cause Qingqing any trouble due to my family background. I want her to love me for who I am, not for the status behind me. These words were spoken with sincerity and were flawless. After hearing this, Lin Jiangwo nodded in approval. Good lad. You have a sense of responsibility, truly worthy of being old Chen's son. Li Weining's expression also softened. The way she looked at me changed from her previous critical and scrutinizing gaze to the satisfied look of a mother-in-law sizing up her son-in-law. This kid is not bad, not arrogant or impulsive, and has his own thoughts. And he is sincere towards Qingzhu. His family background, character, and looks are all good. I suppose he's barely worthy of our Qingzhu. Listening to her inner thoughts, I chuckled to myself. Done. What I thought would be an uphill battle was resolved so effortlessly. My dad, divine assist, is truly more useful than anything. Lunch was prepared by Lin Qingzhu and me in the kitchen. Watching me skillfully chop vegetables and toss the wok in the kitchen, the satisfaction in Li Weining's eyes grew even more. This kid even knows how to cook, and his knife skills are so good. How rare. At the dinner table, the atmosphere was harmonious. Lin Jiangwo grabbed me and incessantly reminisced about the eventful years when he and my dad carried guns and went to the countryside together. Li Weining, on the other hand, kept putting food on Lin Qingzhu's and my plates, her smile incredibly loving. Xiao Fan, eat more. Just make yourself at home. Xiao Fan, when do you and Qingzhu plan to get married? Her father and I need to prepare in advance. Lin Qingzhu's face turned beet red, and she kept shooting glances at her mom. I smiled, held Lin Qingzhu's hand, and said earnestly to the two elders, Uncle, Auntie, as long as Qingqing is willing, I am ready to marry her at any time. I am. Lin Qingzhu blurted out without a second thought. Only after saying it did she realize what she had said, and she wished she could find a hole to crawl into. Ha ha ha! A burst of good-natured laughter erupted in the living room. Just then, the doorbell rang. The maid went to open the door, and a young man dressed in designer brands and with a scholarly air walked in. Uncle Lin, Auntie Li, I've come to visit you. It was the blind date Li Weining had arranged for Lin Qingzhu, the young master of the Wang family, Wang Hao. He froze when he saw the harmonious scene of us in the living room, especially when he saw me holding Lin Qingzhu's hand. His eyes instantly darkened. Only then did Li Weining remember that she had also invited someone over. She stood up, somewhat awkwardly. Ah, Xiao Hao, you're here. Please have a seat. Then she pointed at me and introduced me to Wang Hao. Xiao Hao, let me introduce you. This is Qingzhu's boyfriend, Chun Fan. Boyfriend. That single word pronounced Wang Hao's death sentence. Wang Hao's expression turned extremely ugly. Boyfriend? Since when did Lin Qingzhu have a boyfriend? Who is this guy? Dressed so ordinarily, what right does he have to steal my Qingzhu? He took a deep breath, forced a smile, and extended his hand towards me. Hello, my name is Wang Hao. It's a pleasure to meet you. I didn't stand up, merely raising my eyelids lazily, showing no intention of shaking his hand. Hello. Wang Hao's hand hung awkwardly in midair, his face turning pale and then green. What do you do for work, Mr. Chun? He asked, trying to make small talk. Unemployed, just lying flat at home, I replied nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, the disdain in Wang Hao's eyes intensified. So he's just a pretty boy who lives off a woman. How could Qingzhu fall for someone like this? I must expose his true colors. He thought he had some dirt on me and immediately turned to Li Weining, saying with a grief-stricken heart, Auntie Li, how could you let Qingzhu be with this kind of person? He's an unemployed bum. How can he possibly give Qingzhu happiness? Li Weining's expression darkened. Lin Jiangwo's brows furrowed as well. Lin Qingzhu was so angry, she shot to her feet. Wang Hao, what nonsense are you talking? Affin. I gently pulled her hand, signaling for her to calm down. I looked at Wang Hao as if I were watching a buffoon. Mr. Wang, is it? I began slowly. You say I can't give Qingqing happiness, so what kind of happiness do you think you can give her? I can. Wang Hao immediately puffed out his chest. While our Wang family can't compare to the Lin family, we are still a reputable name in Beijing. I graduated from an Ivy League school and am now the general manager of our family business. With an annual salary in the tens of millions, I can give Qingzhu the most lavish life. I can introduce her to high society. Oh, I laughed. An annual salary in the tens of millions. Is that supposed to be impressive? I took out my phone and, right in front of him, opened my bank account balance. Then, I turned the screen towards him. Wang Hao leaned in curiously for a look, and then his eyes went wide. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. He stammered as he counted the long string of zeros. By the end, his tongue was in a knot. This is impossible. How can you have so much money? He shrieked. I pulled my phone back and said flatly, I forgot to tell you I may be unemployed, but my dad is rich. My dad's name is Chen Qianquan. Boom! Wang Hao's mind went completely blank, as if a bomb had gone off inside it. He collapsed onto the floor, his face ashen. Shen Qianquan is son. He actually tried to steal a woman from Chen Qianquan's son? Who the hell did he think he was? Watching his devastated state, I shook my head. Some people always think they're standing on the mountaintop, never knowing that in other people's worlds, they can't even reach the foot of the mountain. Chapter 10. I don't know how Wang Hao left the Lin family's home. I only know that from that day on, a new legend began to circulate in the social circles of Beijing. The Lin family's prospective son-in-law is the sole son of Chen Qianquan, a top-tier magnate who has turned lying flat into a form of performance art. And as for me, after successfully winning over my father-in-law and mother-in-law, I took my fiancée, Lin Qingzhu, back to Qingfeng Villa to continue our shameless, idle life. Yes, fiancée. The moment we left the Lins, I took her straight to order an engagement ring. A ring crafted from a single, rare pink diamond, inlaid with our initials, F and Q, in smaller diamonds. The moment Lin Qingzhu put on the ring, she burst into tears. Am I dreaming? Am I really going to marry him? I'm so happy. I held her and whispered in her ear, silly girl. I should be the one crying. I've finally locked you down. Back at Qingfeng Villa, life seemed to return to its old rhythm. Eating, working out, playing chess, brewing wine. But everything was also different. Our relationship had evolved from lovers to an engaged couple, which meant we could engage in some deeper communication. For example, on a stormy night, she would hug a pillow and knock on my door, looking pitiful. Even im skrat. Taking the hint, I would lift the covers, get in. She would immediately curl up in my arms like a little kitten, holding me tight. So warm, so safe. Holding him, I'm not afraid of anything. Feeling the soft body in my arms and her pleasant scent, my body reacted instantly. But I restrained myself. This is a respectable novel. We can't write smut. I just held her, gently patting her back until she fell asleep peacefully in my arms. Or for another example, on a sunny afternoon, we would play in the swimming pool. I taught her to swim, my hand supporting her waist. She learned quickly, but she always seemed to accidentally bump into me. Affen, I think I'm about to sink. And then she would logically wrap her arms around my neck, her legs around my waist. Droplets of water trickled from the ends of her hair onto my chest. Under the sun, her skin seemed to glow. I lowered my head and kissed her. The water rippled, a beautiful scene of spring romance. Our feelings for each other grew stronger with these sweet, everyday moments. Uncle Wong had already begun preparations for our wedding. The location was set on my private island. The date was set for 1 month from now. I left everything to Uncle Wong, happy to be free and focus my full attention on my fiancée. That day, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from Guyen. His voice was filled with exhaustion and despair. Young Master Chun, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have provoked you, and I definitely shouldn't have listened to that bitch, Suya. I'm begging you, be merciful, please spare Qihong Technology. It's my life's work. As long as you're willing to let me go, I'll do anything you ask. I'll be your slave. I'll kowtow to you, anything. Listening to his pathetic pleas on the other end of the line, I found it laughable. If he had known it would come to this, why did he even start? Guyen, I said faintly, did you know? The one thing I hate most is when people touch my things. She was once my fiancée. She was mine. You touched her. Skydome Capital is my company. It's mine. You and Suya touched that too. And now, you're asking me to let you go. I let out a soft laugh. Do you think that's possible? With that, I hung up the phone. I had no interest in wasting another word on someone so arrogant, someone who foolishly tried to challenge the rules. A few days later, the news broke. Qihong Technology has declared bankruptcy. Founder Gu Yin is 10 billion in debt and is suspected to have committed suicide by jumping off a building. His condition is unknown. I was watching an old movie with Lin Qingzhu when I saw this news. She also saw the news notification, turned her head, and looked at me. It has nothing to do with us. I pressed her head onto my shoulder. Watch the movie. Oh, she answered obediently and didn't ask any more questions. That's just how she is, unconditionally trusting and supporting me. No matter what decisions I make, she never questions them. She just stays by my side, quietly accompanying me. With a wife like this, what more could a husband ask for? 1 month later, our wedding was held as scheduled on that picturesque private island. No media was invited, no business tycoons. The only ones who came were our closest family and friends. My parents, Lin Qingzhu's parents, Uncle Wong, and my group of goofy friends. Lin Qingzhu wore the wedding dress I designed for her myself, looking as beautiful as a goddess descended from heaven. As she walked towards me, step by step, on Lin Jiangwo's arm, I felt as if all the sunlight in the world was gathered upon her. I took her hand from Lin Jiangwo. Kid, I'm entrusting my daughter to you from now on. If you dare bully her, I won't let you off. Lin Jiangwo said, his eyes red as he patted my hand. Dad, don't worry. I promise solemnly. I will use my entire life to love and protect her. In front of everyone, we exchanged rings and made our vows. When the priest announced, "You may now kiss your bride," I lifted her veil, looked at her face streaked with tears of joy, and leaned in to kiss her deeply. The sea breeze, the sunlight, the fresh flowers, the applause. Everything was so perfect. After the wedding ceremony came a grand dinner and party. My group of friends clamored for us to drink the cross-cupped wine. Lin Qingzhu can't hold her liquor, so I drank for her. As a result, I ended up getting a bit drunk myself. When the dinner was over, I carried my bride back to our carefully decorated bridal suite. Closing the door, we shut out all the noise from outside. Inside the room, it was just the two of us. She helped me take off my jacket and guided me to sit on the edge of the bed. "Hey, Fan, you've had too much to drink. I'll go make you some sobering soup." I grabbed her hand and pulled her into my arms. "No need." I looked at her, my gaze burning. "You are the best sobering soup." My gaze made her heart race and her face flush. She shyly lowered her eyes. A moment of a spring night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. I lowered my head and kissed her lips. This time, there were no more hesitations. Outside the window were the stars and the sea. Inside, the room was full of the light of spring. My lying flat, life has finally reached its most perfect ending. No, not an ending. It's a new beginning. The beginning of an even happier, more perfect lying flat life with her by my side. To all the handsome guys and beautiful ladies, if you liked it, please give a thumbs up. Thank you.